Welcome back to Inside College Basketball Now with Jon Rothstein. Pleased to be joined by Louisville head coach Pat Kelsey, a man who for decades has not needed an alarm clock. Pat, what time do you rise in the morning?
About a 4 to 4:30 guy. I go to bed at a normal time, but I'm an early riser.
And what's the routine at 4:30 until, most humans are awake?
I set it up to where I'm leaving, and I can be the first customer at the coffee place that opens at 5. I'm not going to name the company to give them a shout out on a national podcast, but for some reason, I don't know if it's a work shortage or something. They haven't been open at 5 for about the last month, and I'm struggling. So I go to a gas station and get really bad coffee.
Well, I'm sure it's obviously exciting every day to wake up when you're the head coach at Louisville. Give me your initial impressions of your team so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, the latest wasn't the greatest. That was last night. You got me scheduled on this podcast the morning after a tough loss and 48 hours before we go up against a really, really good and well-coached Indiana team. So the last thing you do is what you remember the most, and we weren't good enough last night on the road against Arkansas, but got an opportunity to bounce back on a big stage against a really good team in a couple days.
And I know that you played a game in the city of Cincinnati against Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago, but against Arkansas, it was the first time that you went into a true road environment. What does a coach learn about his team when they go and they play another quality team on its campus?
Yeah, I mean, you find out stuff about your team every single day. The season's a journey where you have ups and downs. You deal with exhilarating highs and you deal with some adversity. Every team's going to go through that. You find out what's inside the orange when you squeeze the orange. Last night we just weren't good enough, but you credit Arkansas. We'll be better for it moving forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing our team's response.
What was the hardest part about facing Arkansas?
I mean, obviously they're extremely talented and they're well coached, and it was a great college basketball atmosphere and environment. I'm sure even after a win, they'll find things that they could have got done better. We always say never accept in victory what you wouldn't accept in defeat. So regardless of the outcome of every game so far, we always find things that we could improve on. And, last night, amongst a bunch of other things, we had to defend without fouling better. They got to the free throw line way too much, shot a million free throws. And we didn't do a good job of keeping them off the glass. And that's kind of a hallmark of who we are and what we are. So to get beat up on the backboard the way we did was disappointing, but we'll fix it moving forward.
Pat, you were brought to Louisville to again make the Cardinals one of the top programs in college basketball, and you immediately brought Louisville back to respectability. And now in your second season, you are immediately in the group of people who perceive you to be, again, one of the best programs in the country. What is it like internally when you go from year one to year two, trying to bring a program back to respectability to now being, again, one of the top teams in the sport?
Yeah, you're talking about really high level, 40,000 feet, big picture things. And I get that. All that stuff's important. This town is better when we're really good. This town has a bounce in its step when we're really good. This town has a bounce and a vibe and an energy when we're really good. So I get it. And I appreciate those kind words of what you said, of the things we've accomplished since we've been here. But that's for podcasts and that's for national pundits and things like that to talk about. And I got that. And again, we are proud of that. But man, it's just it's so important that, especially in today's day and age, with young kids with the phones in their hands and the thump of the praise being thrown at them, and then the negative things being thrown at them, that we just really try to stay focused on what's next. All those things take care of themselves. Fact of the matter is, the latest thing last night, we just weren't good enough on the road against Arkansas. And I'm just interested in seeing our guys' response. And I know what it's going to be today when we get back together and we clean up this game and then we turn our attention to Indiana. As long as we focus on that, despite the highs and lows, the ups and downs, the momentum will continue to move forward, and all those things you talked about will continue to happen. If we don't focus on what's right in front of us, we'll stub our toe again. So that's my focus with this team right now, is to have the best day today we could possibly have and turning the page and getting ready for our next one.
What are the biggest things as a coach you want to remedy with your team that you think right now could be stronger?
Well, last night, as I mentioned, defending without fouling, and then cleaning up the backboard. The backboard's always a toughness, a tenacity thing, a grit, things that we take great pride in. And then defending without fouling, we just got to be more disciplined. We call them clean possessions. That's getting stops without fouls and without second shots. And those are two things that coming out of last night's game, as I already talked about, that we got to clean up.
And Pat, obviously, your program and your team this year is constructed around arguably the best perimeter in the sport. Why do you think that area of your team has been so effective to start the season?
You talking about what our perimeter play? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I mean, we got really good players, and you're much smarter of a coach when you have really good players. When you have a really good backcourt, you can sleep like a baby as a coach. And we got a bunch of, and you asked about specifically our backcourt, but I believe in our roster so much, both in the front court and the backcourt. It's just staying focused on the task at hand and being ready for a really tough Indiana team. But yeah, I mean, our guards are really good. Need to play better than we did last night. But you know what? I need to coach better than I did last night. So it all comes together. And, I'm looking forward to practice today at 3.
Your backcourt, your perimeter gets so attention, and rightfully so. As you mentioned, that's a really, really good core of players on the perimeter. But your front court is directly correlated to the backboard, which you've referenced a couple of times. And you've brought in a player, Sananda Fru, that I think has been an underrated piece for you. And he's obviously going to have a major hand in what you do on the backboard moving forward. Why is he such a key cog in the Cards' attack?
Well, you mentioned the backcourt. You said the backboard being such an important part of the front court. The backboard's an important part of every single player on the floor. It's a 5-man commitment to rebounding, whether it's your tenacity and hitting on a block out or your nastiness and pursuing a loose ball up in the air, because that's what a rebound is. It comes off the rim. It's up in the air. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's whoever wants it the most. And that 5-man commitment to rebounding is really, really important. The guy you mentioned specifically in Sananda, Sananda's really taken great strides since our very first game. I think in those first couple games, he was just trying to find his way a little bit, get comfortable in a new country, with new food and a new culture and a new system and new terminology. And you could just see every game him gaining confidence. And, he'll continue to grow and trend in that direction.
Pat, there's obviously expectations now, as we're really doing this for the most part year to year with rosters changing so much. I was talking to a coach this week who said, you really probably don't know how good you are until you get into December. I know you've got a really talented team, but it's still a new team. At what point does a coach in this climate really feels like he understands his team?
No, I think that's a really good point that whatever coach you talked about. But I don't think it's just now in this new climate. I think good programs, good coaches, good players. The important thing is that you continue trending in the right direction and you're playing your best basketball late in the season when it matters the most. And that's why you're continually, every single day, taking inventory of everything in your program, whether it's schematic stuff on the defensive or offensive end, or it's personnel based, or it's cultural based, and it's adherence to the cultural things and the belief and the things that you can't measure with the stat sheet. And as a coach, that's what we do constantly. I mean, most coaches, like I do, you got a little notepad next to your bed, and you wake up in the middle of the night, you just have a thought, and you write that thing down because you are in constant pursuit of improvement. Yeah. And when you get punched in the mouth like we did last night, it exposes a lot of things, but it's that intensity to improvement coming off a big loss or a big win that I think makes good programs really good programs. And then a willingness from your players and your team to accept criticism, to accept aggressive coaching, and their willingness to improve and make changes every single day. Teams that are player-led, are way, way more powerful and dangerous than teams that are coach led. And that's what we promote every single day. And we got a team full and a roster full of guys that think that way.
Well, and you're going to find out, obviously, which players are leading your team based on what you see from the response from the Arkansas game. And Pat, I remember this might be 20 years ago. I was doing the interview with Billy Donovan, and he talked about obviously all the accolades that come with success. But when you're a coach, you really don't know who your leaders are until the fire comes. Why, as a coach, do you learn more about your guys through adversity versus success?
Well, I think that question that you asked transcends just college basketball. It transcends college sports. It transcends business. It encompasses, life in general, right? I think you find out who you are as a person, who you are as an organization, whether you're a car dealership or you're a basketball team when the crap hits the fan. And, none of us are perfect. We're always on pursuit of improvement. But you're right. When adversity happens, you show your true colors. We say all the time, events plus response equals outcome. And the outcome we want is obviously for us to be an elite team and to compete for a championship. But all you can do something about is what your response is to that event. And that event could be a really good thing. That could be winning again a game against your rival on national television in front of 23,000 people. How do you respond to that? What's your approach to improvement? And then, what's your response when you get absolutely punched in the mouth like we did last night? First thing you do is respect your opponent. You tip your cap and you admit they got us. But then the next thing is you put blinders on. You don't listen to the crap and the outside noise, and you just go stinking back to work. And I believe in our players. I believe in their makeup, and I'm excited to see the response, and I have a really good feeling what it's going to be.
One of those players that obviously is going to be, at the epicenter of things for you, not just in a response, but all season long, is Ryan Conwell, who had a great year last year at Xavier, had a great year the year before at Indiana State, and is as good of a shooter as we have in the game. I know that a lot of attention for your team is directly related to Michael Brown, and that's for good reason. But Ryan Conwell, to me, is a player that really encapsulates what college basketball should be about, because he has gotten better every single year. What has it been like to coach him?
It's awesome coaching Ryan. You mentioned all the things that make him a really good player, because he is. He's an exceptional player that's really efficient in all areas of the game. Ryan's makeup and his intangibles are special, and he's a joy to coach. He's a great teammate. He's a phenomenal leader.
Pat, in addition to putting together one of the best rosters in the country, you have also put together the best non-conference schedule in the history of Louisville basketball. You're in the middle of it right now. I know that you're focused on your practice. I know that you're focused on your preparation, but you are a kid from the Midwest, and you are going to coach Louisville on Saturday on CBS in Indianapolis against Indiana. What type of feelings are going through, obviously, your mind and your body, knowing that you're going to be in the middle of that Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, you're killing me because you're tugging on my heartstrings, and I hate when you do that, John, because, gosh, all I'm worried about is getting our guys ready in a really quick turnaround. We got back at 1:32 in the morning and had to sleep fast, get up, get to class, get our work done today, and then come in and take a step toward being prepared to play a really good Indiana team. Whether we were playing them in Indianapolis on the Pacers home court on national television, or we were playing them on the surface of the moon, it's a really good Indiana team that we got to be on our stuff. When you say it that way and you stop for a second, again, I'm ticked off at you for making me do that. It is pretty cool when you gain perspective, and I think it's important to stop sometime and appreciate the gifts and blessings that we all have. I'm a child of God. I love Jesus, and I thank God for him every day. I thank him every day for the gifts of my life, for my family, for the team that I get to coach, and the great university I get to lead. And to do that on a big stage growing up in the Midwest is pretty cool. And my canned line is always, I don't care about any of that. It's just the next freaking thing. And I believe that with everything I got. But what you said is still pretty cool. and I am blessed and appreciative.
All right, Pat. Well, I'm not going to get sentimental anymore in this chat or any chats moving forward. I'll try to amend that for you. But since obviously you're focused on the next thing, what are your impressions of the Hoosiers from
Yeah, I
what
mean,
you sampled?
well, I promised you I was going to do this podcast after getting back at 2:30 and having a very quick turnaround. So every second since I've been back is being able to go in front of my team at 3:00 and give them a really, really good understanding of the things that we got to do beat Indiana. I know they're extremely well coached. They're ridiculously efficient on both ends of the floor. They got a very high assist to turnover ratio. They're efficient from two. They're efficient from three. They're very good, very talented. I coached against against their head coach in this system last year when we were in the Bahamas when we played against West Virginia. His son is a terrific player, and he's just he's their best player, one of their best players. But you're mistaken if you're saying he's the only guy, because they got a bunch of really, really good players. Our guys' mentality today will be great, and our response will be phenomenal, and in a really quick turnaround. We're excited for the opportunity to go up, play a big-time team on a big-time stage in a big-time arena.
Other than rebounding, which you've addressed multiple times, what are the biggest long-term keys for your team to be the best version of itself, not just Saturday on CBS against Indiana, but throughout the rest of the season?
I mean, you name it. I mean, we could sit in here and talk for 2 weeks, and I could tell you every single facet of defensively, our transition defense, our pick and roll defense, our gap integrity, our closeouts, our fix-its, our blockouts, our pursuit of the ball on the offensive end, our pace, our ball movement, our people movement. Like we could have a coaching clinic right now. No coach is ever totally satisfied, no matter if you win a big game by 20 or you lose a game like we did last night. There are always things to improve on. So excited to get after it. It's one of the cool things about coaching is these opportunities. As crazy as that sounds, to have adversity like this. My job as a leader is to put our guys in the right position and help them to respond quickly. And we're blessed and fortunate that, we get out and compete again and get this bad taste out of our mouth, hopefully in a very short amount of time. And again, we're excited about the opportunity.
It is one portion of the best non-conference schedule in the history of Louisville basketball. Louisville, Indiana, Saturday on CBS at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. And also the Cards after that game will still play Memphis, still return a game at Tennessee, and also play Baylor in February as Pat Kelsey continues to lead Louisville back to prominence. But we don't want to hear about that from 40,000 feet. We're going to X out of that. Pat, thank you for your time on a quick turnaround. Most importantly, happy holidays to you and your family, and have a great practice. As always, look forward to staying connected with you along the way.
Really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
You got it. That's Louisville head coach Pat Kelsey. I'm Jon Rothstein, and this is Inside College Basketball Now.